Welcome to episode 21 of Convergence with Karen Holton here on People for People Radio. Find out how the personal is political as we explore the politics here on Earth, the exopolitics of our galaxy, and how these intersect with spiritual transformation through my unique perspective. If this is your first time joining us, I encourage you to check out the archives here on People for People Radio or my YouTube and Odyssey channels to find all of the episodes of Convergence. And you will be glad that you did. Today in episode 21, I am very pleased to introduce you to my friend, Susan Blocker, and we're going to talk about the current exopolitics between our planet, solar system, and galaxy. But first, let me tell you a little bit about my guest. Susan Blocker, who has experienced lifelong astral travel adventures and is in constant contact with her galactic spiritual family. Susan was born and raised in New York City, but 14 years ago she relocated to Virginia. Susan is now 58 years old, and she has a unique perspective because she was born without arms. She is independent by the use of her feet. Susan says, "In my world, my legs are my arms, my feet are my hands, and my toes are my fingers." Throughout her life, Susan always had a natural interest in writing and researching information. Susan works at home in alternative media as a researcher and a writer of news commentaries. Her primary goals revolve around researching and studying the history and creation of humanity, Earth, and the galactic realms. Between the ages of 3 and 5 years old, Susan's connection, adventures, and missions began with her galactic and spiritual guides, which have continued throughout her lifetime. Susan's goal and mission in this lifetime is to share her galactic and spiritual experiences with as many people as possible to help expand human consciousness and awareness to life that exists beyond the Earth. Hi, Susan. Welcome to the show. How are things go? Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Hi, Karen. Thank you for having me on your
Oh,
show today.
oh, my pleasure. How are things going for you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I can't complain.
Oh, that's great to hear. I was thinking today we could kick off our conversation by getting you to tell the listeners a little bit about how ET and interdimensional contact began for you, because I understand you were a very small child when it all started, and I'm sure that that would give some good context to our conversation today.
Okay, no problem. Well, with me, it started around age 3 years old when I was first placed in my first foster home. I was a little girl, and when my parents used to put me to bed, it was dark in the room, and I was scared by myself. And these beings used to come in the room, and they used to keep me company for hours until I fell asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I can't really describe so much what they look like because they were more like shadows.
Mm-hmm.
And I would get off the bed, and they would play with me, entertain me, talk to me, keep me company, all that kind of good stuff. Then when it was time for me to go to bed, I couldn't climb back in the bed because I have no arms, so I'm not able to grab onto something and get myself back in the bed. Somebody always had to pick me up and put me in the bed.
Mm-hmm.
And when it was time for me to go to bed and they had to go, they would lift me up and put me back in my bed, and I would just instantly go to sleep. So
Mm-hmm.
that was basically the first times that they would come to visit me is when I was in my foster home, my first foster home.
Mm-hmm.
The next experience I had, and they came several different times, quite a few times.
Mm-hmm.
in hours at nighttime. Then the next time, it was like, see, I must have been about between 5 and 7 years old. And me and my foster dad was in a car, and we were driving on our way home. We were on a highway, and I was in the car with my dad just talking like any little kid would talk. And then all of a sudden, I noticed this bright light on the left side of my face, and it like froze me, it paralyzed me. I couldn't move. And I tried to turn to see what it was, but I couldn't move at all. And basically, what happened is I was taken back, when I was sitting in the car, I was taken from the car into that bright light. And I believe, that was my second time connecting with the galactics, because my home planet is from inside of the sun. And I believe it was my family basically telling me, okay, you're having a good time down here, but you are here to do a job. They were reminding me what I was here to do. And I stayed there with them for a little bit, and then I was brought back into the car. I don't remember the conversation that we had, but after that visit, I knew that this was not my home, Earth was not my home, and that I was here to do something. Of course, I couldn't explain to my father what happened, because he was sitting in the car and he saw me like freeze up for a little bit, and he kept calling me, but I couldn't respond to him because I was like paralyzed. So I had no way at age between 5 and 7 to be able to explain to him exactly what happened. But that's what happened. They were actually coming to get me and trying to wake me up to let me know, hey, you're here to do a job, you're having a good time, but you're here to do something, and you have to remember what you're here to do. Right. And that was my second time that I was contacted by my galactic family.
Can I just ask you a couple of questions? Because I know that the listeners are not familiar, or at least I don't think they're familiar with your history. And I just want to clarify a couple things. So when you were between 3 and 5 and you were in your first foster home, and these beings came and contacted you and played with you and kept you company so you felt better, were you ever afraid of them? Was there ever anything that made you afraid of them?
No, no, no. I mean, none of my contacts, all of my life that I've had contact, I've never been afraid of any of my experiences that I had with the beings. Never, never. They've never done anything to hurt me, harm me. They've always made me feel that I was comfortable. If I felt uncomfortable or a little unsure about what was going on, I would let them know. They'd bring me right back. I never had no problem. No.
Right. And then the experience within the car. So from your foster father's perspective, you just froze up for a few minutes. But from your perspective, you were actually teleported, and you met, or not met because you had already known before, but in this lifetime as a child, you were met with your spiritual community who let you know that you had a specific purpose and directive for your life. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is. That's accurate, Karen. Yes.
Okay.
But it was from that time on that I realized that Earth was not my home.
Right.
That was the first time I realized that Earth was not my home, and that I was sent here to do to complete a mission.
Right.
Yes.
I'm wondering if you could just tell folks another what I found was a very interesting part of your experience, and that was when the beings came and taught you how to tie a bow on your bear or your doll that had the lacing. And then anyway, I'll let you tell it.
I remember that was when I was a little girl and I was in my first foster home. And my therapist had been trying for a long time how to teach me, because they thought I would never be able to tie a bow with my toes. And I was determined that I was going to do it. I just wasn't able to get the concept at that time with my toes and everything. And I was given this like doll, a Valentine's Day doll, and she was big, and you could open her up and put stuff in her and all that kind of stuff. And she had a big red bow around her neck.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was a kid, I used to untie it and try my best to tie it back up. And of course, I couldn't do it. But in particular, in the evening times when I guess you would say my galactic family, my galactic guides, when they would come to visit me, they would have me practice on that doll
Mm-hmm.
and to learn how to tie. And one day, I don't know how I did it, but one day after them showing me how I could do it with my toes, I magically tied that bow. I don't even know how I did it, Karen. I'm sitting here now and I actually could visualize and see myself sitting on that bed. And to this day, I don't know how I was able to tie that bow. But once I tied that bow that first time, I was able to tie anything from there on.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to tie all kinds of shoes and all that kind of stuff like that. So they taught me how to do that.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
your foster mother came in the room, I guess, the next day and saw the bow was tied and was pretty shocked, eh?
Yes, she was. And she was like, and I was proud to show her that I could untie it and tie it back up. And she was asking me, well, how did you learn? Because the night before, I didn't know how to do it.
Right.
So,
Right.
and again, I couldn't explain to her. I never told her what was going on because I was afraid I was going to get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to be sent away from that foster home. So I never told anybody about my experiences because
Yeah.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. I think that's amazing too that your galactic family made contact with you when you really needed them, because it's my understanding where you were staying before you were in your first foster home was like an orphanage. So you were never alone. You were in a ward with a whole bunch of other kids, and now all of a sudden you're all alone in a dark room in your new foster home. That must have been quite frightening, and for
Yes,
them to come and comfort you, and that's just such a beautiful, to me, that's a very beautiful experience.
yes. And I didn't tell you one other experience that actually hit my mind today, Karen. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I remember this is when I was with my second foster home.
Mm-hmm.
And I was about 6 or 7 years old, something like that. And it
Mm-hmm.
was Christmas Eve. And they actually came to me dressed up as Santa Claus. And I I kid you not, I kid you not. And they stayed with me the whole night. And we talked and talked and talked and talked and talked. And then when it was time for me to go to sleep, I remember what they were saying. They said, we're going to sprinkle some magic powder in your eyes and you're going to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And they sprinkled this dust. I guess it was dust. I don't know what it was. I couldn't see it, but they sprinkled it on me and I went to sleep. Now, the next morning, it was Christmas Day. I couldn't believe what had happened because I kept telling my foster, I said, Santa Claus came to visit me, Santa Claus. And then he was like, no, Santa Claus didn't come to visit you. And I was like, yes, he did. Yes, he did. Didn't you see him? He came and they were here all night. I mean, I tried to explain it to them and they didn't believe me. They didn't believe
Yeah.
me at all. And then when I got older, and I, of course, didn't believe in Santa Claus anymore, I asked my foster father, I said, was that you that came in the room that night and stayed with me dressed up as Santa Claus? Because I was still trying to figure out kind of who it was. I
Mm-hmm.
figured maybe it was my foster father. But he told me, no, it wasn't him. It wasn't him. He
Yeah.
swore up and down for years it was not him. But to this day, Santa Claus was in my room
Yeah.
the whole night. And again, it was them. It was them.
I'm not one bit. I'm not one bit surprised. I've had Preston Dennett on quite a few of my different shows, and I had him on recently. He'll be back in a couple of weeks, and he's an investigator for MUFON. And he said that you'd be surprised often, especially when they're appearing to children, they will appear in costumes. Sometimes it's clown costumes. Sometimes it's superhero costumes.
Mhm.
Sometimes, it's like you mentioned, Santa Claus costume.
Yes.
So that's actually really common, especially when they're presenting to children.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, that's really great.
Yes.
So moving a little bit more to the subject of ETs and humans, Susan, in your experience and opinion, how long have ETs been helping humans?
How long have E.T.s been helping humans?
Yeah.
Do you mean in this century or because they, well,
Well,
okay.
maybe, I mean, it could be off and on for thousands of years. It could be just 10 years. I don't know. Whatever your experience tells you, how long have ETs been helping humans? It doesn't have to be continuous. It could be off and on. It could be personal.
Yes. From what I understand, they've been helping humans off and on for thousands of years. For thousands. Now, again, you have the good ETs and then you have the not so good ETs. The not so good
Yeah.
ETs don't help humans, but the good ETs have been trying to help humans for thousands of years. For thousands of years, Karen.
Yeah,
But
I believe you. That rings true for me and the information I get from my ET contacts. Now, I just want to explain to the listeners today that there are many, many different kinds of ET experiences. And Susan, your galactic family, they reside in the sun. So
yeah,
yours is more of a solar system um, contact, whereas mine is actually even intergalactic. So we would have like our experiences are very different. They're with very different kinds of beings. So I just wanted to point that out because, as far as I'm concerned, you're a bit of an expert on the solar system and what's going on with ET. So my next question is, can you tell us about your most recent experiences and what you know about how ET plans to help us humans here on Earth during this really difficult time?
okay. Well, my most recent experience happened almost about 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was transported onto a fighter ship. They're here.
Mm-hmm.
They're above us in the sky. We can't see them. Sometimes, a lot of times, they pop out with their ships and stuff like that. But there are a lot of fighter ships up above us right now. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a battle going on. There is a battle. Trust me, there's a battle.
Can you tell us more about the battle?
The battle is ongoing. It's been going on for millions of years. It's
Mm-hmm.
between two races, not two races, but actually two brothers. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they're alien brothers, Enki and Enlil.
Oh, yes.
This is where this started with them a long time ago. And this is the same battle that we're still in right now because one of them, I forget which one of them didn't like humans, and the other one liked humans and wanted humans to be free.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is what this battle is about. It's about freeing humans from the enslavement that the aliens have kept us in for millions, thousands of millions of years now. So I think it's over 500,000 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, well, with my experience that I had 2 weeks ago, I was sent aboard a ship because I had been asking, because with things increasing down here on Earth, I feel that I need to be doing more in the sky than I need to be doing down here. And
Mm-hmm.
because that's just my personality, and I needed to know if if I'm on the ship, what am I doing? If I'm off planet, am I helping in this war? Whatever, I needed to know. So I
Mm-hmm.
asked my galactic guides to please show me, please, because a lot of times they'll take me. And I'm on different missions and stuff like that, and they'll erase my memories when they send me back here, so I don't remember anything.
Yeah.
So when I ask them, to show me something or, give me a little piece of information, they will do it. They will do it. And
Mm-hmm.
I had asked them, like maybe I think it was sometime last month, to please show me because I'm getting anxious down here and I want to be doing something to help with the situation because I feel, what I'm doing here is not enough. So
Mm-hmm.
they took me up there. They just snatched me up about 2 weeks ago. And
Mm-hmm.
I was in my bed, and they always get me when I'm in my bed. When my head hits the pillow, next thing I know, I'm off planet somewhere. They
Yeah.
had me on the ship. I was aboard a ship. This ship was quite big. It's not the biggest ship they have, but it was quite big with lots of people on there.
Mm-hmm.
And my task aboard this particular ship is to guide people on the ship to where they need to be during the battle. It was actual battleship. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't flying the ship. I'm not actually shooting at anybody, but I'm directing the people where they need to be during this battle on the ship. So that this way, what do you call it? I forgot
Mm-hmm.
what the title would be. I don't know what the title is. Well, actually, I do know, but I can't think of it right now. But it's a specific title. But
Mm-hmm.
that was my job on the ship, and also I'm also in what they call like the interrogation room. I
Mm-hmm.
bring people up to the ship and take them to the interrogation room, and they don't leave that room until we make sure that they're okay. It
Mm-hmm.
means that they're not against us, so they're not going to try to harm us or whatever. So it's like an interrogation interview room. And so I'm on that ship, and I was in full battle gear. I had my uniform on, and my uniform was white. It's a one-piece white suit, and the shoes melt into the suit actually. So it's like one piece, all one piece,
Mm-hmm.
and it has blue. I guess you could say like powder blue signature on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, like a powder blue signature, and across the left side of my chest, it has my name, my rank, and all that kind of stuff written in powder blue. So, and like the edges of the suit is all powder blue, and it's all one piece. And I'm very tall. Again, they put me in whatever body that I need to be in whenever they take me to whatever planet or whatever mission they got me going on. So on this ship, I'm very tall, very tall.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm very thin, and I have long arms, long legs. And when I got on there, I knew what to do. It's like I guess I had been doing this for a while because
Yeah.
I knew what to do, and I knew we had to get somebody on the ship. We had to interrogate this person. So I instructed one of the crew members to bring this person up to the ship and bring them to the interrogation room.
Mm-hmm.
And they listened and they did it. And while I was interrogating this person, once the person got up there, and I was not really interrogating, I guess you could say kind of interrogating, but asking the person a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, our ship was hit, and you could feel the jolt. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if another ship hit us or if a bomb or some kind of laser beam hit us, but we were hit, Karen. We were hit very hard. And I remember running out of the room because I had to go and check to make sure, see what was going on. And just as I ran out of the room, boom, they sent me back here because
Mm-hmm.
that's all they wanted me to remember. That's all.
Yeah. Now, just for clarification, Susan, so when you're taken, you go to sleep at night and you're taken etherically, is that correct?
Yes, yes.
So
Well,
you don't take your physical body with you at that time.
actually, only once or twice I took my physical body. Once or
Right.
twice. And first time it happened, it must have been like maybe about 4 months ago, where I
Mm-hmm.
actually took my physical body with me. Wherever I went, my physical body was there. And
Mm-hmm.
because I was surprised because it never happened to me before. Usually
Mm-hmm.
I'm placed in another body.
Yeah,
Whatever body. Mhm.
that has also been that has also been my experience. So I totally hear you on that. Now, this person that you were interrogating, were they there physically or were they there etherically?
They were there physically.
Oh, they were actually there physically.
They were
And
at work.
you were in a and you were in do you think you did a body transfer or just a consciousness transfer?
Are you talking about me, myself?
Yeah, the tall body that you ended up in once you were there, do you think that was just consciousness transfer, or do you think you did a swap with the person who normally inhabits that body?
No, I think because I had this same body a few other times before. So I
Mhm.
think the consciousness transfer to this particular body because I've had this same body before. I
Right, right,
noticed that, yes, yes. The more they take me out or whatever, the more I'm being placed in a specific type of body. So it
right.
must be a body that's reserved for me. But I've been in all different types of bodies. At one time, it was actually a reptilian body too. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't too happy about that. no. I wasn't too happy, but I had to blend in because I was
Yeah,
on a trip, and,
yeah,
all of them are reptilians, and I couldn't come in with any other kind of body but a reptilian body, and I wasn't too happy about that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you. And I'm also wondering if the person you were interrogating, do you get a sense that they were one of our world leaders or someone like Dr. Fauci out of the medical industry? Do you have any sensation on where they, what the context was for them?
Actually, that part was erased from my memory. All I
Yeah,
remember is that I was interrogated. They didn't want me to bring that back. So
right. That's
because
fair
certain
enough.
things I'm not allowed to, I guess, talk about or whatever.
Yeah,
Yes, yes. So I don't remember who it was. All I know is that I was, told to bring up this person and interrogate them, and
yeah,
put them into that room and ask them a bunch of questions or whatever. But I don't know. I don't remember who it was. No,
right.
no.
Now, I'm just wondering if we could move over a little bit to, how you and I are aware of some really, really dark stuff going on the earth today. People being
Yes.
kept in underground caverns, the slave trade industry, what they're doing to children. I don't want to talk too much about the gory details, but um, can you sort of give us an overview on what's going on, and then the influence that the ETs are having for helping those people? Like, for instance, are they being moved off planet? Are they being rescued? What's going on? Can you fill us in a little bit about that?
Okay. Yes. They are being rescued. Just about a week or so ago, I think it was the one Disneyland, Disney World. I think it's one of them in California, one of them's in Florida. I always get them confused. But they were underneath Disneyland or Disney World, blowing up that whole area, that whole entire area.
Who was blowing up the entire area?
You have the Galactics working up under there, and you also have the White Hats and the military up under there.
Mm-hmm.
And they were underneath the ground, blowing it up and rescuing people, rescuing the children. Because also, what a lot of people don't understand, there's also a lot of adults under there too.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't really talk about that because they think it's just children, but there are adults under there too, because they actually have lived under there and been raised underground until I think they said like the oldest adult that they were raised that they rescued from there was like 67 years old.
Oh my
So
goodness.
he's been under there for 67 years. And they use adults to breed, children actually,
Mm-hmm.
to carry the children, give birth to them. So they need the adults to do that. So that's what's going on under there with that actually. But yes, they're being rescued. Um, Bits and pieces, sometimes you'll see pictures of the children that are being rescued, but they don't show too many because, again, they're saying that they have a right to privacy because, I guess because, they don't want their identities to be shown or whatever. But also, too, Karen, they're also rescuing hybrids from under there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of hybrid beings under there, all types of beings. So they're not showing too many pictures of them either. Once in a while, you get a picture or two of them. But the hybrid beings are half alien, half human, half animal, half human,
Yeah.
and they're all up underneath there. They're all under there. From what I understand, years ago when I was doing my research, they were saying that the galactics would be removing them and taking them to other planets
Mm-hmm.
because we do not have the services or medical stuff here to help them.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of them are dying. A lot of them because they've never been above ground. So it's a
Yeah.
task just getting them, because the air that we breathe and the air that they breathe is two different things. So
Mm.
they had to literally come up with a way to protect their breathing and all that kind of stuff while they're bringing them up to the surface. And that's why they had to use a lot of, what do they call it? Not resuscitators. What is it? Oh God. When people can't breathe and they
Respirators?
respirators. Thank you. They had to have thousands and thousands and thousands of respirators to go up under there to put the people in, to hook the people up to the respirators in order to bring them up to the surface of Earth. Because when they were just going in there and gingerly bringing them up to Earth, they were literally dying. Literally. Their insides were just melting because it was just too much for them. So they had to really, this is something that they've never done before. So they're learning as they go along how to safely bring them up from underground. And this is not just here in the United States, this is all over the world that these children and adults have been held underground. So it's like millions and millions and millions of people underground.
Yeah, they're huge, huge, huge underground facilities all
Yes.
over the world.
Yes, yes, yes.
And what was their purpose for keeping all of these, not just the humans, but also the hybrids? Is it basically scientific experimentation?
Well, it's a combination of scientific experiment, look, scientific experimentation,
Yeah.
breeding to breed them, use them as a food source, because again, you have aliens, different alien races that live underground in caverns and stuff like that, and they eat humans. They eat human flesh.
Yeah.
So they breed humans to feed to the aliens. They also use them, the cabal use them for sexual pleasures and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a combination between experimentation, breeding, and a food source. And also, a lot of them they send off planet and they sell them because, again, off planet they have a brisk business of selling humans, selling humans, hybrids, or whatever to other races, and they use them as in a slave trade.
Yeah, I've actually heard about that too.
Yes.
Apparently the colony on Mars is very heavily supported by slave labor.
And that's
So
where they're getting them from. Yes.
the benevolent E.T.s, it sounds like they are organized. Obviously, they're here, and
Yes,
they're in our. Would they be in our atmosphere?
actually, they're here right here on Earth, Karen. They're right here. They're here.
They're actually living amongst us.
Yes, they are. They're right here. They've landed and they're here on this planet. And basically, they're saying at this point right now, anybody who's ready to connect with them can connect with them, but they have to be. Their frequency has to be able to withstand their presence or whatever. So
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
yes,
Because they're not gonna take the dysfunction back to other worlds, back to their ships,
no,
from what
no,
I understand.
no, no. You have to
So
be high vibration in order to actually see them and communicate with them. Yes.
right, right. Well, that was certainly true in my case. So I'm just wondering, if they're able to be on Earth and do some rescuing, are they able to do anything to stop the process, or is it just too big and been going on for so long? Are they able to negotiate with our world leaders? Are they able to use some kind of science or magic that can just stop the nefarious beings from using and abusing basically humans as livestock?
Well, yes, they could have been stopped it. They could have stopped it a long time ago. But from what I'm understanding, they're not, they're intervening, but they're not going to intervene, but so much because, again, this is, from what they're saying, this is a human problem. We have to be able to solve it. Because if they come in and just solve it for us and magically make everything go back to perfect again, or, if it, make our world right, we're not going to learn lessons. We have
Right.
to learn a lesson because the biggest thing right now is the child trafficking.
Yeah.
And that's what they're very upset about, is that we allowed this to go on for so long. I mean, this is the child traffic. I mean, children have been abused on this planet for centuries,
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
seems like humans have just turned their back. They didn't ask questions, they didn't pay attention or whatever. And the Galactics are very angry about that because, you know, it shouldn't have gone this far. And they're saying if they come and just clean it up, then the humans are not going to learn a lesson.
Yeah.
And
It's not
it's
a
going to happen
permanent
again. We're going
solution.
to repeat the same cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So this
Mm-hmm.
cycle that we're going through, yes, it's like we're dying. It feels like you're dying sometimes. But
Mm-hmm.
we have to go through it. We have to feel this. We have to know what went on. We have to understand the truth. We have to understand what these children went through, what these adults have gone through, so that we never allow this to happen again. That's why they're not intervening as much as they can. They are up there fighting the battle. They are physically fighting. But as far
Mm-hmm.
as here on Earth with all the stuff going on, we have to deal with it because we voted these people in, these psychopaths in,
Yeah.
and if they just got rid of them or whatever, then the next time you decide to vote again, we're going to vote the same people in. So
Yeah.
we have to
We
learn a
have to
lesson.
learn.
We have to learn, yes.
I
Yes.
totally agree with you. You know, just looking at the country I live in is Canada. You look at Canadian history, genocide and the horrible abuse of children has been going on right from the very first minute that the colonizers stepped foot
Yeah.
on the land that we now call Canada. They
Yeah.
have destroyed cultures. They have used and abused children. The
Mhm.
residential schools went right on until I believe the late 1980s. There's mass graveyards where children have just been used and abused as slaves, as sex objects. This has
Mhm.
been going on in our country. So even without bringing ET into the context, I agree. Humans have a lot to learn,
Yes.
and we need to take responsibility for how we treat
Yes.
each other.
Yes, yes, and that's what the Galactics are saying. We have to learn lessons about being compassionate, caring. I mean, it's so many different things that we have to learn,
Yeah,
and that's why they're not going to just come in and clean it up. They're not going to. They've made that well clear that they're not just going to come in and fix the problem. Nope, nope.
yeah,
They said, unfortunately, a lot of people are going to lose their lives. A lot of people are going to
hmm,
lose their lives this time. We're going to survive. Don't get me wrong. We are. We're not. They're not going to wipe us out. That's not going to happen. But
hmm,
during this process, this transitional stage that we're going through, a lot of people will lose their lives, and mainly it's because of those. You know what I'm talking about? The C jabs.
hmm,
C
hmm.
jabs. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be,
Yes.
I was going to say interesting, but it's quite frightening how monstrous it all is.
Yeah.
Now that you brought that up, I'm wondering, we've talked a bit about the benevolent and the good ETs.
Hmm.
Can you tell us anything about the bad ETs and how they're interacting with humans and our governments? Do you have anything you want to say about that?
Well, as far as everything negative that's going on right now, they are in charge of that. It's them doing this. And they have the governments, from what I understand, based on my research, from what I'm understanding, each country is owned by at least one negative ET race.
Mm-hmm.
And they have the cabal as their minions. They
Mm-hmm.
tell the cabal what to do to us, basically.
Mm-hmm.
This has been ongoing since the 1930s, in this century. the cabal sold us out back in back in 19 back in the 1930s, 1940s, something like that.
Yeah.
They sold us out for their ET technology.
Yes.
That's what where all this negative stuff is coming in right now,
Mm-hmm.
because basically the ETs, the negative ETs, started abducting humans from Earth, and in for their abductions, the cabal got the technology, and they have all the technology. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, we are so far behind. We're like thousands of years behind where we should be right now. But the
Yeah.
cabal have all of the technology because they went on and signed treaties and laws with these ETs, these negative ETs, to have us abducted so that they can get all of this stuff from them.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's going on right now is being orchestrated by the ETs, the negative ETs, and
Mm-hmm.
the cabal. The cabal worked for the ETs. And from what
Yep.
I'm understanding, some of the ETs have infiltrated governments. They've taken on human bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the governments are not even human anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Human. They're actually ETs that look like they're human.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. It's a
It
great
is.
mess. Yes.
It really is. I wanted to also throw in there a question about the clones.
Hmm.
I know you've done a lot of research about human cloning, but I'm just wondering, what is the scoop on clones? Like, do they have a soul or do they not have a soul? And even if they don't have a soul, I'm sure they still should be treated in a humane manner. But what's going to happen to the clones? Are they going to be rescued by E.T.s? Will they be destroyed? Are they fully human? Can you tell us anything about that?
Well, from what I understand, the clones that I've been researching are, like they are like government. Some of them are government officials, and some of them are they're not so good. They're not really good people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Gosh, I can't even say if I've heard of any good clones. Not unless they're cloning human, like people like you and I or whatever, which I don't doubt. They say that we've already been cloned. And I don't even want to discuss what they do to the clones underneath the ground or whatever. But the
Yeah.
the major ones are not good people. So yeah,
Yeah.
they will be deactivated actually. Like for instance, you have the Obama clone. The
Mm-hmm.
real Obama has been gone. The real one, the biological one, he's
Yeah.
been deceased for several years now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's his clone walking around. He has several clones. So
Yeah.
they have to be deactivated. Then, and some of them, like, okay, they even did the Hillary clone. The real Hillary Clinton was killed off. Ooh, I forgot. I think it was on 9/11 celebration, not celebration, but memorial. I think about 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Hillary Clinton was she died. She was executed or she died or whatever happened to her. But since then, her clone has been around, and
Right.
just recently executed her clone. So you're
Wow.
not going to see Hillary anymore. She's gone.
Mm.
The clones that I know of are not good clones. They're not. They weren't good people, and they don't have a soul. No, they do not have a soul.
Mm-hmm.
Their soul has been removed. Their soul, they remove the soul, and an entity gets into them. It's either a walk-in spirit, which is not a good spirit, or
Mm-hmm.
either it's some type of entity that will go. Because I don't know if you ever noticed that some certain celebrities or what is it, government officials, sometimes they'll pop up. You see pictures of them with a black eye.
Yes, yes, the black eye. Everybody from the Pope to the Queen there's pictures of them with one black eye.
That's the entity. That's what they call a vril. Spelled V as in Victor, RILL, a vril.
Wow.
It's a worm-like entity that enters into that eye, and it takes over that particular body or clone
Mm-hmm.
or whatever it is.
So is
And
it like a parasite?
yes, it's a parasite. Yes, it is. It's a parasite.
Oh,
And it's a
goodness.
certain way that you have to kill that parasite so that it doesn't creep in and go into somebody else. It's a certain
Oh,
type of way. I forgot which way you do it. But that's basically when you see people with black eyes like that,
yeah.
a vril is inside of them. They're not human. They have no soul. The
You know,
soul
the
is
most
removed.
recent person who came out with the black eye was Ghislaine Maxwell, you know, who worked with Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay.
She's in remand right now, and just a few weeks ago, there was a lot of pictures published. She tried to put it across as though she was being mistreated and beaten, but it's that same one side black eye that you know, we've seen pictures of the Queen, we've seen pictures of everybody in of very elevated positions with those black, just one of two eyes blackened.
I think what it is also too, they know that the people who are being captured and taken to jail and stuff like, they don't want them to talk. So
Right,
they have to remove that soul from that body and put in a vril or an entity, so that that entity will take hold of that body, and it'll animate it and say whatever the cabal wanted to say. But if you leave it, if it's a real human, they're gonna sing like a canary. They don't want that. The cabal
right.
don't want that. So that's what that is. Yes.
Reminds
Yes.
me of that movie Invasion of the Body
hmm
Snatchers.
This is what it is. Yes. Basically,
Yeah.
this is what it is, Karen. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
it's too horrific. You know, I understand why a lot of the common people don't want to believe the kind of things that you and I talk about, the kind of things that we've experienced, because it just freaks the hell, even you and I who are seasoned, it just freaks the hell out of me sometimes. What the hell is really going on?
Actually, it feels like we're living in like the world's most greatest sci-fi movie right now.
Yeah, and a
That's what it feels like
combination
to me.
of sci-fi movies, you know,
Yes.
everything from Soylent Green to
hmm
1984, all of it seems to be coming together. I have a question from the chat, Susan.
Yes.
From neutrons, protons, and electrons, this is the question. In total, how many alien entities habitate the Earth? And are they prone to being deep beneath the Earth? Can Susan have a ballpark? Can you give us a ballpark estimate, first of all, of how many different kinds of alien entities are on Earth, and then how many of them live subterraneanly? Oh, you know what I mean.
I know, subterranean.
Thank you.
Well, at this point, Karen, they say that the aliens and the entities and the AI bots, all of that, they outnumber humans. They outnumber
Wow.
humans. I can't give specific numbers, but they
Yeah.
are actually outnumbering us at this point, because
Wow.
you realize they're not only on top of Earth, but they're underneath the Earth. We
Right.
don't live underneath the Earth, but they live underneath the Earth. And there's like, oh my God, they've been here for billions of years. So
Are you talking about the reptilians now?
the reptilians, you got the grays that live up underneath the ground.
Yeah.
You have several different alien species that live underground. And
hmm
within that species, there could be more species. There could be,
Right.
they have multiple species within species. And a lot of them live up underneath the ground, a lot of them. And that's why they were telling people, as they're blowing up these underground bases, don't be surprised if you see one or two stragglers coming up above ground if they get away,
Right.
because there's just so many. Now, the galactics, from what I understand, the minute that they blow up these underground bases, the galactics are going in, sweeping up the bodies and so forth and stuff like that. But like they even said, that it's so many of them that they're bound to miss some. They're bound to
Yeah.
miss some of them, and some of them will get away.
hmm
So it's right now they outnumber humans. They outnumber us.
Wow, that's a
Yes,
lot. That
yes,
is a
it is
lot.
a lot. Yes,
And
yes.
so would you say the majority of them lives below the ground? And because I know some of them do live above the ground, but you would it sounds like you're saying the majority or the larger portion lives below ground.
Yes, the larger portion lives below ground because the what is it? I guess the atmosphere or whatever is better for them underground. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why they live underground because they can breathe better. And, they have food sources down there. Actually, their food is coming from us, but you know how that is. From what I understand, also too, I don't know if you know this, Karen, but a lot of hospitals and what is it, funeral homes and churches and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
they're built specifically on certain what they call ley lines
Mm-hmm.
that actually generate negative energy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
say, a church and you go to a funeral, there's a lot of negative energy in there. Everybody's sad, crying, and all that kind of stuff because they're mourning their dead. Well,
Mm-hmm.
underneath, right underneath that church where you're having a funeral at or whatever, they're actually, the aliens are feeding off of that energy. They're feeding. They're absorbing that energy because when humans are in a negative state of mind, our bodies produce some type of chemical known as
Yeah.
douche, and
Yep.
they
And
feed
they're
off of that
addicted
douche.
to it.
They're addicted to it, yes. And
Mm.
that's why, like in hospital, people don't know this, but hospital, basically the cabal know where every hospital, church, funeral parlor, they know where all of that is set in America. They know
Mm-hmm.
where it's built up at, and that's where these aliens are.
Mm-hmm.
Those buildings,
Mm-hmm.
so they can absorb that negative energy. Yes,
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
yes.
Um, I'm just what we're quickly running out of time, Susan. First of all, I want to ask you if you would be able to come back in a few weeks and we could pick it up where we left off. I'm wondering if that might be possible.
Sure, no problem. No problem. If you like me to,
Okay.
I'll be good.
Well, we're going to take one more question, and that
Okay.
is also from neutrons, protons, and electrons. And the question is, how common are the Nordic aliens? And do Nordic aliens assume jobs like modeling because it's suggested that the Nordic aliens are so physically beautiful to us?
Okay. Well, I don't know about the Nordic aliens, you know, taking jobs as modeling, but I do know that the Nordic aliens are in Antarctica and they are working with the people that were connected to Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know too much about them,
Mm-hmm.
but I do know that they are here, and um, the ones that I've read about are in Antarctica, and they're not too good people. They're not really good. At least this version of them isn't, because they are working with Hitler and his people. Well, Hitler's not here, but the people that he left here. They're
Right.
working with the cabal, yes. So I don't
Right.
know much about them, but I know that they are in Antarctica. Yes.
Okay. I don't know much about them either, so but that was pretty good what you said.
Yes.
So, Susan, we got to move on. I have a few closing comments I need to make, but before we do that, can you please tell our listeners where they can find you, and can you tell them a bit about your wonderful, informative website? You've put years of work into that website. Can you tell people where it is? Of course, the links will be below, but can you tell people where it is and what it offers?
Okay, well, the name of my website is called Rise and Shine Humanity Awakens, and it's been online for about 5 years now. And it has all types of information from A to Z about everything that's happened in the past to everything that's going on in the present.
Mm-hmm.
And offhand, I don't have the web address in front of me. I
Well,
should
that's
remember
okay.
that.
I'll give it to Gaz and we'll post it under the replay. No problem.
Okay, but they can go there anytime. The blog section is where I post news articles every day about what's going on behind the scenes on anything, any topic that is prevalent to what's going on right now. So you hit that blog section, or you can go into the main area of the website, and I have so many different links to all types of information, all types. So it's for newcomers, for people who are just starting out, finding out what's going on, to people who are seasoned and who know what's going on and want extra information. So
Right.
please feel free to come there anytime you'd like to.
Yeah, I'm always amazed when I look at your website. It's got so much information. Whatever deep dive anybody wants to do, it's there. And it's so well presented and so easy to navigate. So I really recommend folks check out your website and visit you and check out what you've got. It's amazing. And Susan, thank you so much for being with us today on Convergence. And like I said, I'll book you back in I don't know, kind of booked up for about 4 weeks, but after that, if you'd like to come back.
No
And
problem.
I just want to thank you so much for sharing your experiences, your wisdom, your knowledge with us today. It's just fantastic.
Thank you. I thank you for having me, Karen. I appreciate being here. Thank
Oh,
you. And
it's
thank you
my
to
pleasure.
your audience.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying thank you to your audience for listening to me ramble on.
Oh, I'm sure everyone's finding it very interesting. You know, we cover a lot of topics on this show that are kind of hard to find accurate information about. So I really appreciate it.
No problem.
So, so I'm just going to press on with my closing announcements. Just a reminder for everybody, the Quantum Health Transformation online course and other inspiring information, which is free. That's available from my website. And if you would like to support my work, please purchase some of my beautiful Zendomes organites. All the links will be below in the replay. If you want to help create the change that you wish to see in the world, take exquisite care of the temple body, raise your vibrational frequency, and learn from the Quantum Health Transformation Program. Join me and bring your friends as we go live at 1 p.m. Mountain Time every Tuesday here on People for People Radio. Come visit the People for People website at www.peopleforpeople.ning.com. If you would like to help support the channel, please do click the donation button. A special thank you to Gaz and Vanessa for hosting me and for moderating for me here on People for People Radio. And much love and light to you, the listeners.